What's going on, everyone? Chandler here with LFP TV. Today we're doing something a little bit different, special, that everybody's been asking for. We are doing a driving video in the 2018 GT base with performance package and the new 10-speed automatic transmission. I've driven the 10-speed in the Raptor. It is absolutely awesome. So today we're going to see how it drives in the Mustang, kind of get some perspectives, and then do a general walk around. Really quick, just a couple things to point out that have been changed in the interior. On the steering wheel, they've moved the OK button, the up-down little pad to control the center stack, over to the right. So every time I keep getting in and trying to configure my gauge mode, I keep going to the left, which is now the volume. It's a little change. It doesn't really affect anything. It'll just take some getting used to. The biggest thing, though, is the seats. They have changed the way that the cloth seats are upholstered. It still feels like the same dimensions, but when I'll show you guys later what they look like, they've actually etched like a racing stripe into them, and it says Mustang on it. So just a little bit of difference, nothing too crazy in the interior. So let's go. Now the GT, the 2018 GT in general has received a host of different upgrades. The first one, of course, being the 5-liter engine. It's a new generation. It has the direct fuel injection, picked up about 25 horsepower. It's up to 460. It's a little bit different of a motor. Definitely still going to be a really nice addition. They bumped the red line all the way up to about 7,500 RPM. So for those of you who remember the earlier Coyote cars where people were revving them to crazy high, you'll be able to get that again. As far as the GT Performance package, the price has gone up by about $1,000. It's now a $4,000 option, which is definitely not cheap. The nice thing is, though, is finally our prayers have been answered. Ford has gotten serious about the tires on their Performance package cars. They now come equipped with 255 front and 275 rear Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. So gone are the rock hard Pirellis. Say hello to a tire that will actually compete. Our friends over at LMR actually bought the very first 18 with the automatic that we had, and they managed to pilot it all the way down to a 12.2 quarter mile on these new tires. The 2017s were running somewhere in the mid to high 12s, so they've definitely knocked off a substantial amount of time just from the addition of the tires. Just driving the car around, I have it in sport mode right now. I'm going to kick it down into drive to see how it drives that way. It doesn't really seem like it hunts around. You really don't even notice how many gears are there. You never would be able to guess if you weren't using the paddle shifters. It's really quiet. There's no whine, obviously. It seems like a very, very well-built transmission. But let's kick it into sport mode and roll through a couple downshifts. This thing shifts fast. It shifts really fast. So I'm actually in 10th gear right now at about 65, and we're at about 1,800 RPM. So it's not like the gears are these crazy long gears. It downshifts fairly quickly too. It's not nearly as fast as the upshift. But it does have rev matching, so the throttle finally blips itself so you don't get the whole herky-jerky whenever you're downshifting. And they had to have done something with the exhaust, because the exhaust does sound a whole hell of a lot better than it did in 17. On the 15s to 17s, the factory exhaust was always really, really quiet. Really quiet. This sounds very healthy on startup. It gets kind of quieter once the idle settles down. But when you get on it, it sounds really great. So this car does not have the active exhaust, which is option. It's just a GT base with the performance package. I've got the the steering in Sport, and it feels a little heavier than it did in 15 to 17, just a little bit, not a whole lot. With the tires, the car definitely feels more planted, but I will say I'm used to driving a road course car. This could probably, well, really benefit from being lowered a little bit. It's still kind of wallows about. There's a little bit more body roll than I'd like to see, but just as far as a level of grip, it is leaps and bounds ahead of the Pirellis. I did it again. I reached for the left side of the steering wheel for my gauge mode, and I needed to be on the right side, so that's going to take some real getting used to. This 10-speed makes the car feel 100 times faster, just because the gears are so short and you can rip right through them. You always feel like the car has so much more torque than on paper it actually does. It's a really nice feeling. I mean, anybody who's just buying this car, you know, and doesn't have the need to supercharge it, or don't think that they they need 600 or 700 horsepower, is going to be thoroughly impressed with this thing out of the box. The 10-speed, as much as I love manuals, the 10-speed for me would be a no-brainer. It'd be something I'd order right away. It's going to be faster on a road course. Obviously, we've already proven it's much faster on a drag strip. And I would assume it probably gets better fuel economy than the manual as well. Yep, I'm gonna buy one. I don't care what it takes. If I cannot swap this 10-speed into my current car, I am going to buy one of these. This transmission is absolutely fantastic. It is so immediate. It's so much fun. I don't even miss the manual. The downshifts take, obviously it's hard to judge anything below a second, but I would say they take probably no more than a half a second. By the time I'm letting back off of the paddle, it is already downshifted. The rev matches are perfect. This thing is absolutely fantastic. This is wonderful. So let's kick it back into manual, or into drive. So it has now downshifted itself to whatever gear it sees fit to be in. We are at 40 miles an hour, chugging along at about 1,400 RPMs. I don't know what my my instant gas mileage is, but shifts down right away to wherever you need the power to be. What I'm going to try to do is find a place to pull off and then remount the GoPro so you guys can actually see the tachometer and watch how quickly it's kicking up and down. Okay, so now I've got it facing the tach. Let's see if you guys can see what I can feel. Just to show you guys, this is 10th gear right here at about 65 miles an hour. So again, they're not crazy steep, they're just all very tight together. So when I push my foot down on it, even in 10th gear, I'm still moving forward. It's just it takes a little bit of time.